takes a minute. All right. Okay, so I think we have started the meeting. Can everyone hear us, see the screen? If you can you just drop a note in the chat? Oh, I love the thumbs up and the loves and the hearts and everything. That's even better, even more perfect. We don't need the chat. All right. Well, anyway, welcome to the GROW Mentorship series, which is a book discussion on You Are a Badass, How to Stop Doubting Your Greatness and Start Living an Awesome Life by Jen Sincero. I'm your host, Jen Theriault-Fazio, Divisional Sales Director for the Midwest at Origin Point and your GROW Mentorship Director. I have been with Rate Companies for, it's now 18 and a half years. I always have to add like the half years when I talk about it because it's been so long, approaching that 20. Anyway, GROW is a Rate Companies employee resource group dedicated to help empower and support women. And today's call is actually open to all of Rate Company employees, female and male, along with our referral partners. And for the very first time, we have included those outside of our organization who are thinking of joining us or getting into this wonderful mortgage industry. So welcome, everyone. If you can drop a chat for me, a yes or a no, if you read the book, that would be great, just so we know. You definitely did not need to read or finish the book in order to be here for today's call, but it's always nice to know if people read. Okay, so we do have some no's, we have some yeses, a good combination, ordered but haven't read it yet. Okay, I think all of our... Yeah, I was going to say, I think most of our panelists have read or finished the book, but even we don't need to all have read the book in order to get through what we're going to talk about today. And this is really a perfect way for us to kick off Women's History Month. Today's mentorship series features a panel of amazing, and can I say badass again, women who are from across multiple Rate Companies, which is really awesome. And joining us on the call today are also some of our fabulous women I have the privilege of working with on the GROW board. And before we get started on our panel discussion questions, I just wanted to let Jody, Heather, and Sarah all introduce themselves. And then also we have from our GROW board, we have Tracy and Lisa on here. So just really quickly, ladies, if you want to go around and introduce yourself, say who you are and how long you've been with us.
I can jump in and go first.
My name is Jody. Go first? Yeah,
I'll jump in. My name is Jody Bridges, and I have been in the industry for a little over 3 decades. Hard to believe it's been that long. I've been with Origin Point for almost a year. My previous company I was with for 16 years, and I'm an author, an industry speaker, and a producing loan officer. So thank you for having me. It's an honor to be here.
Thanks, Jody. Sarah, you want to go next?
My name is Sarah Cohet. I'm with GRI, and I've been here since mid-2015. So what is that? Too long? 11 years? Almost.
Heather?
Yeah, of course. I'm Heather Kinsalvi. I'm new to Guaranteed Rate Affinity. I'm the EVP of Operations. I've been with the company for about 6 months. I live in Collingswood, New Jersey, with my husband and my 2 daughters, and I am turning 50 this year and feel like a badass after 25 years in the mortgage business. So I'm excited to be here, and it was a great book.
Great. Tracy?
Hi, I'm Tracy Anastasia. I am year with Guaranteed Rate Companies and also over 3 decades in the industry. Also turned 50 this year, last week, so I feel you. And I feel good, so it's good. Yeah. So I work with Origin Point on the operations side, but I also do support all of the companies for Rate Companies, so all the JVs and DBAs as well.
Thanks. And Lisa.
Hey there, I'm Lisa Messler. I'm the EVP of the sales team in the Southeast, covering from West Virginia to Florida. I've been with the company 4 years, done everything from processing to sales now, and excited to be here today. I'm 2 years away from turning 50, but the older I get, the more badass I feel. So fired up for it.
All right. Thanks, ladies. I also wanted everyone who's here on the call today to know that we definitely want to see your comments in the chat. So please feel free to be interactive. And after the call, we are actually going to pick a handful of people from the chat who will be winners to receive the You Are a Badass deck of inspiring cards, as some fun prizes. So once we're done with the call, we'll definitely email that out. And so I'm just going to dive right into our first question. And this one is for Jody, who is, our author. And I just love that, she did mention that, so I didn't have to do the plug for her, but she does have a great book on financial literacy that we'll drop in the chat for you as well. But You Are a Badass emphasizes the importance of overcoming self-doubt. And I would love to know, and I'm sure our audience would, is how have you personally tackled self-doubt in your career or your life? Any of the careers, I should say.
Well, I think, over the years of being in this industry, you do go through various stages of doubting yourself. We work in a very fierce industry. There's a lot of competition. Sometimes you feel like you're doing nothing but exercising imposter syndrome. And I would say, the best way that I overcame self-doubt was, one, my mentor. I think it's always key to have a mentor in any industry that you can look up to and grow with. And over the years, just kind of emulating what my mentor did, learning from a mentor, and then figuring out my niche of what am I most passionate about in this industry really helped me overcome the self-doubt of, feeling like it was always imposter syndrome, or I was always running behind, or I wasn't keeping up with everybody else from a production standpoint. I think it was, more than anything, just educating myself, feeling confident in what I was speaking, and bringing a level of education to our industry and to my clients that helped set me apart and kind of overcame all of that over time.
Yeah. I love that you mentioned the imposter syndrome, because one thing that I did learn last year when we were doing a panel for something else and talking about imposter syndrome is that men also have imposter syndrome. I don't know why I thought it was just women, but it seems to really impact a lot of people. So I'm glad that you did bring that up. All right. So our next question is, Jen Sincero talks about the power of mindset. And I think we talk about a lot of mindset stuff when we talk about grow and supporting women. What mindset shifts have been most transformative for you, and how do you maintain them? So, Heather, you want to jump in here and we'll hear from you?
Sure. Yeah, absolutely. So I did mention I have two teenage daughters, so I feel like my mindset shifts pretty much hourly. It can, something new can come up. But I think at this place where I am right now, I think a lot about energy and where I spend my time, and I use it as like a currency, right? So I have to be really thoughtful about where I'm spending my time, what projects I'm taking on, where I give my energy to. And I use that in leading teams and talking to the women that I work with, right? It's really about, there's a limited amount of energy and time that we have, and I want to be careful about where I dedicate that. And so that's a shift from when, I would say earlier in my life, where I was kind of I wanted to control things, right? I thought the more I kind of, held on tight, I could make something happen, and worrying and reacting, where this this mindset shift for me is really about being purposeful, right? About how I think and feel about things. So, coming to this organization even 6 months ago, one of the words that I would continually use was that I was curious. I don't think I've spent a lot of time in my life being curious, and now I am. Why do we do it like that? How come it looks like that? Are we sure we want it to be like that? And that's been a way for me to shift the way I feel. And it changes, right? It goes that happens at work, it happens at home with my children. I mean, everywhere in my life, I feel that. So, how do you maintain it is a different question, right? Because that changes throughout our lives and our experiences. And there are times I've had to learn different lessons in the seasons that I'm in. So I think this is the one that's really been the most exciting, right? And it came at the right time reading the book too, thinking, hey, wait, I have been changing that. So that's been exciting for me.
Yeah, I hear you on that. It came at the right time of reading the book because I felt like this book for me came at the right time
Yeah.
as well. Like we've gone through our own changes within our organization, and it's like, oh, I kind of needed that for the mindset shift, and the positive mindset shift too is really important because you can also sometimes go the other way, which isn't always great.
So
Um,
easy.
I-
So easy.
yeah, it is. Jody, you want to add anything?
No, I'm good on that one. I think you covered it all very, very well. Very
Oh,
well.
thank you.
Right.
Thank you.
Perfect answer, Heather. All right. This next one is for Heather again, but it's Heather, how, with especially within your position, but how do you
Yeah.
think organizations like ours create an environment that helps employees and partners like overcoming self-doubt and just like basically thriving?
Yeah, it's a loaded question. I think if I give this really well, we can all go get different jobs. So we're in a career or a field where we're always kind of working towards getting to that place, right? Or that vibration that everybody's vibrating at the same, and getting better. Um, I think there's a lot of things that I've seen in our organization that make me really happy and that I try to really double down on. And that's, you know, being, what is the expression, psychologically safe, right? Like you're allowed to make mistakes. I make a bajillion. You're allowed to fail. You're allowed to try. You're allowed to tell me what you don't like, how it's not working, how to make it better. Those kinds of experiences with people in my career have made me who I am. So I feel like having an environment like that helps everyone do better, right? Because they have a chance to not only be the superstar, but to be the solver and to be the winner, right? And so I spend a lot of time with my teams really talking about I don't I don't want to be the person who makes it better. I want you to be the person who makes it better. And I want to be the person who says, look at what she did. Right. And I think that kind of makes an environment feel really good. And we allow for that in the rate companies. And I really have enjoyed that part. Right. But it always comes down to the same thing in my mind: clarity, kind of what are you all working towards, what are you supporting each other, what's the initiative that we're supporting, and that do people feel trusted and trustworthy, right? Like those are things that matter. And so I think we have things like grow, right? We have things like mentoring, we have things like getting on phone calls with each other sometimes and just saying, how are you doing it? How can I do it better? In a highly remote environment, we have to lean into that more than ever, in my mind, right? So that we can create a safe place where people are like, I can do anything, right? That's what matters. So that's kind of what we're building.
Yeah. Lisa, I saw you come off of mute. Did you
Yeah,
want to add
no,
something?
I was just
Yeah.
gonna say to Heather's point, like definitely like this, I think she phrased it as psychological safety, just making sure that people feel that they're in a position to ask questions and try new ideas. And so being welcoming to those, whether you're, building a business as a VP and ops manager looking for that next step, I think that's, a great, working through the mentorship. And just to add to that, I mean, when people feel supported and empowered, through being able to have open dialogue and communication, I think that's really when, you step into your potential, and you start to take those limiting beliefs, that ceiling that we sometimes put on ourselves, that ceiling moves up. And so we just kind of keep breaking that barrier. So I
Yeah.
thought that was
And
well said.
yeah, and it's also about having your people, right? Like your go-to people. Like you have to have them in your company, wherever you may be, or outside of your organization, even whether it's home or work. Like you need your people you're going to go to for, pitching ideas or trying to get things done. And that's obviously really important. And I think we foster that a lot very well here. And within Grow, it's nice to be able to connect with people who are outside of our immediate companies as well. All right. So our next question is a little bit more book specific, I suppose, but the book's encouraging readers to take risks and step out of their comfort zones. And so I think Jody is going to share with us a time when she took a bold risk and, what she learned from it.
So I've taken many risks and you can pick and choose whichever. But, over the years in my career, I took a big risk with launching my own company at one point. It was right before the 2008 crash, and I was pregnant. And I have to say that it was a moment of you wondered, am I going to make it through this storm? And I think, with the turbulence we all experience in our industry, we go through various stages of, flight and failing. And it wasn't a failure, but it was a bold risk to take. And I was really grateful that I did it because it pushed me to new levels in life. And I think as originators, as anyone in our industry, when you're looking to take a big risk, lean into it, even though it feels so uncomfortable, because it's always fear that holds us back from taking those big risks. But when you do take the risk and it opens a door to other opportunities that you don't even know can happen, I always encourage people to, lean in, take the risk and go for it, because there's so much more on the other side that you don't always see. And even when I moved companies here, I was in a very cozy spot with my previous company. I'd been there 16 years, and I had been recruited, from Origin Point for several years. And it was a point where I was like, there was curiosity of jumping into something new, but then the fear factor was holding me back because I was so comfortable in the position I was in. I knew everybody. And the challenge is kind of what pushed me over the edge to do it. And I'm so happy I did, because, to the last question, there's so much collaboration in this company, there's support. And I think that that's also what helps you get through the fear factor of taking those bold risks, is having the support from others, the collaboration of those, and just leaning into it and leaning into others and being vulnerable is such a key aspect of taking the risk and growing from it.
That's so well put. Like sometimes people aren't willing to take the risks because of the fear factor is it's a big thing, right? But not having a level of support either at home or inside your, with your coworkers it's tough. I'd be curious if people want to drop in the chat and just comment, like, are you more willing to take a risk at work or a risk in your personal life? Like which one is easier for people? I think for me, like personal life seems very like status quo. So like bolder risks at work seem like they have bigger payoffs, So it's just interesting to think like what people are more comfortable doing. Getting a lot of work answers. Neither. I love that. I love that honest response. Yeah, I'm probably more leaning towards a neither on that too, but yeah. Prisco was saying, okay, just curious, just out of curiosity. So like a lot of, it's a big mix in there of what people are saying. So
it's good to see though. It's good to see where people lie a little bit more. Are they more risk adverse? I love that, personally or professionally.
Yeah. Yeah. So Jody, what advice do you think you would give someone who is hesitant to leap towards their goals? Because I would say like what you just told us, you were pregnant, it was before the housing crash, you started your own company, like that is like, that's a big risk. Like, how did you even get to that point? Like, how do you tell somebody like, yes, go ahead and take the leap towards like a huge goal, even just not even a huge goal, just even a tiny goal?
I think you always have to take that leap, because if you don't, you always look back and say, what if? And life isn't about what if. Life is about what do you step into? And it's a really hard thing to do. Of course, I opened the business and then got pregnant, but it was a moment in time where I was in this situation at my company. I had kind of hit the ceiling from a management perspective, and I knew internally I wanted more. So I really followed my gut more than anything. I soul searched. I did a pros and a cons, and I recommend that to anyone who's thinking about bold risk is, what are the pros involved? What are the cons involved? And if the pros outweigh it, take the risk. You can always go back to the safety zone, but that safety zone that you're stuck in may prevent you from launching forward to something magical and beautiful on the other side. And even though it's scary, get a group of, good colleagues and friends who will support you through that transition, and be careful not to be around the naysayers who are going to hold you back as well, because that can happen. You know, people also get a little bit jealous when you're stepping out of your comfort zone, and then a friend may feel like, oh, I should be doing more, and they will be negative towards you on that certain goal. So make sure you surround yourself with the right group as well, whatever that risk is, whether it be small, whether it be large, personal, professional. You know, just surround yourself and really, you know, follow your gut and your instinct.
I love that. It's like perfect thing to tell women during Women's History Month. um, so our next question is for Sarah. And Sarah, Sarah is my avid reader. She reads more than anybody I know. So her, you know, we used to have a book club with Grow, and she ran it. And so I always think of her when it comes to reading, even if this book may not have been up her alley, but I know that supporting women definitely is. And so I feel like this question ties in perfectly to just her and her personality. But how do you think celebrating Women's History Month ties into the idea of living boldly and breaking barriers?
I mean, I think it's a good spotlight time, right? Because everyone has their list. Like Goodreads is like, here's all the nonfiction books you can read about women who did this and that. And, you know, it's kind of a good time to just focus in and be like, all right, I'm interested in this person and their journey and what they did. Let me read about it. It's also a good reminder of what women had to go through. I think that's really been lost lately. We kind of take the benefits we have now for granted. And I mean, you know, even when you look at the dates as to when women couldn't have a mortgage or a credit, or I mean, they are shockingly recent.
Mhm.
And as we've seen rates roll back for women, I think it's important to kind of keep aware, not take anything for granted. But, you know, look at these women who overcame, like, I mean, an example is Marie Curie. She lived in Poland when Russia was in power, and women weren't even allowed to have a university education. So she studied in secret until she could finally go to the Sorbonne after working as a governess for however many years. And then, you know, thriving from there. And she set an example for tons of women. I think she's one of the only people to get two Nobel Prizes, but also in different fields of study. I mean, for the time period, that's pretty amazing. It's still amazing now. But anyone, I mean, it could be Suze Orman, it could be whatever your interest is. The other thing is, I mean, you can learn pretty much anything just from reading, right? I mean, we bought a house in 2019 and it has a double lot, so a lot of gardening space. I didn't know anything, and then COVID hit. So I read everything, redid the whole, you know, landscaping, still a work in progress. But, you know, I mean, I didn't know anything about plants or gardening or anything else. You know, same thing. Our house is 1925. We wanted to do an Art Deco feel, researched Art Deco, started finding vintage stores. Yeah, I mean, you can, anything you're interested in, you can learn how to do. And so focusing on women who have kind of trailblazed before you, it's a good reminder and a good way to kind of get out of your own comfort zones. And going back to the risk thing, like, you can take a big risk, but build guardrails, right? So if you're going to switch, like I switched careers and I was retired for 3 years in between, which was magical. You know, I didn't do it with nothing in my bank account. I didn't max out my credit cards to do it. I had savings. Like, set up guardrails, research what you think you want to do, research your risk. If you're buying and, you know, getting a new space, getting a new house, do your research on the neighborhood. I mean, you can take the risk is still going to be hard, but you can make it a little bit easier just by, you know, doing your research and setting up some guardrails.
It's a good term, guardrails, a really good term and a very good mention, because you did have a whole career before you even did this and everything. So yeah, I love that. And thanks for the example too. I mean, just even thinking about the women who did come before us, like, you don't want to think that it has been that long, but it really has, it's like for a lot of us, for some of the stuff that's happened, it's in people's lifetimes or our mother's lifetimes. So it's really not that long ago that some of this happened. And like from a home buying perspective, more single women than single men purchase homes right now. I mean, that's huge. So financial literacy and helping them, it's very important. Very interesting. Thank you. So we're going to switch gears just a smidge and talk about like building confidence and empowering others, which I think that, once, GROW was launched probably a little over about a decade ago, and then the mentorship program followed shortly thereafter. We really try to do that and to live by that. So the author, Jen Sincero, is writing about the importance of self-love and confidence, and how do you build and sustain that confidence in your personal and professional life? Because we all know that if you don't have confidence in one area, it can, or love and support, it can bleed into the other area. That's just like nature. It's how, people are built essentially. It's hard to always compartmentalize the two separately. So Jody, you want to dive into this one for us?
Sure. So when I started in this industry, I really lacked confidence. And I know it was lack of knowledge and lack of education about the industry when I started years and years ago. It was also the competitive nature. It was no offense to the men on the call or any men in our industry, but it was primarily male dominated, the years ago when I started 3 decades ago. And I think the biggest thing is one, self-care, put that in one bucket. I'm a firm believer in that. I believe that in our industry, we're therapists, we are people pleasers, we try to help people continuously and grow, and it can be exhausting. So I think from the self-care perspective, that's absolutely essential. Always make sure you take time for you, schedule it in your day. I will go into my calendar and purposefully schedule a yoga session or a massage just to get me out of the work and calm the mind and kind of ground your soul and get started again. And then from a confidence perspective, I would say education is the foundation of building your character. And the more confident you are, the more educated you are about whatever you're selling, whatever you're bringing to the table as your role in our industry, the more educated you can be, the more confidence you're going to gain from that. And helping others with the knowledge and sharing it is also an essential part, I believe, in building confidence and helping grow, especially for women, because, it wasn't that long ago. It was in my lifetime that you couldn't get a mortgage and you couldn't get a credit card. I remember when my mom, when we were little, would go and do layaway because credit cards were not a thing at that time for her. And she was a single mom and that's what she could afford. So she would do layaway instead of being able to obtain a credit card like someone else could. So I think, more than anything is education and taking good care of yourself. The better you feel, the more you come across confident, and the more knowledge you have in your mind and your soul, that helps propel you forward. And with that, I would say always have a mentor, because I think mentors are an essential part of your growth cycle as well.
Yeah. Even when you become a mentor, you still need that other person that helps mentor you. It's always, it's like a circle. It always has to be going around. And I know for me, like I would not be where I am today without the mentor that I had growing up in this industry, one of which was my father. I know Tracy can relate because she's also second generation mortgage as well. Her mom was in the industry. But I love, what you're talking about, like taking that time for yourself. I know so many people don't do it. Like, you're off of work. Or are we ever really off of work? No, you're checking your email, you're getting back to people, you're taking calls. It's really hard to take time for yourself. It's like, well, I'm so proud of people when they actually take a vacation, put their out of office on, and ask somebody to back them up while they're gone so that you can actually have that time and recharge a bit. I would love to know if anybody else here does what Jody mentioned, is like scheduling that, like time away, that yoga session, like giving yourself like an hour in the day to just have some you time. Does anybody else do that?
I generally will not start work until 10. And that's because one, my assistant can get in before me. She's going to go through and clean up whatever's come through overnight. But also I can get my workout done. I can have breakfast. I can do what I can have time to myself before everything gets busy.
Yeah.
Because,
And you can breathe.
well, right. Because if you're like, oh, I'm going to do it at the end of the day. Sure. Like,
Doesn't happen.
It never happens. Like the end of the day keeps getting later and later and later. And suddenly, it's midnight and you're exhausted and it's time to go to bed.
Mhm.
So just setting that priority.
That's good work. Priority. You have to make yourself a priority.
And
We
set
make-
those boundaries. Set the
Yeah.
boundaries.
Yeah. Somebody popped in the chat that we invest so much in others that we often forget to take care of ourselves. And so I think this is a good reminder to everybody to just if you do take anything away from it, make one change to take care of yourself a little bit more.
Yes.
I
Absolutely.
actually, I went to a women's event this morning, and one of the speakers, that was her biggest thing she said is that as women, we serve people, whether it's your family or your teammates, but you have to serve yourself first in order to really, lead the life you want to lead. So you guys are like, today is my day of serving yourself.
Yeah. Awesome. All right. Next question is, what role do mentorship and community play in empowering women to achieve their goals? So Heather, you want to?
Yeah, I would love to. I think there's just some really powerful things that we've said so far that I think are just so tremendous, right? This risk in our personal life or work life and where we're taking our challenges, and um, Women's History Month, right? The privilege of being able to take a minute and think of where we are and where we want to go. I mean, it's a really exciting opportunity for us, and just we haven't seen it. And so I'm really happy to be able to talk about that. And I think when I think about mentorship and community, it comes up for me in a lot of different ways. I couldn't do what I do. I couldn't live the life that I have if I didn't have a community of people that help me to make everything happen, right? The way that it needs to happen. And so community has been part of everything that's happened in my life, right? And I'm the oldest of 8 children. I grew up kind of in a chaos space, but my mother went to nursing school when I was 10, and he watched the neighborhood kids while she and her girlfriend went to nursing school. After he was done being a carpenter all day, she went to nursing school and finished. And they bettered their lives together because he supported her. And I think that's the kind of community that you see in a lot of different places that we need to like harness and hold on to. So if you have those experiences, it's about recognizing it, right? There's somebody out there that helped watch my kids when they were sick and I was closing loans, right? And, trying to do the next thing. And I had to be able to be in that minute and that moment and think, that's okay. I can stay here and do this. And she is okay. And my community is helping me to feel full. And so I can continue to do the next thing that's going to move our entire family forward. So I try to go back to that when I think about community. And I really think mentorship is probably one of those gifts that you don't realize until later for me, right? So true professional mentors, they're worth every conversation, every relationship, everything you give or get, right, from that kind of community. What I always think is interesting about mentorship from my seat is that sometimes the best mentors have been teachers that I didn't know I needed. My joke is that my best boss ever, who taught me the most in this business, literally did nothing, right? She would just say, I don't know how to fix that. And I would say, uh-oh. And so then I had to go and find a different path. And I've been really lucky in my career. And I think we probably all have examples where it may not have been the best lesson at the moment, but it taught us so much, right? Those are the experiences that I think of when I think about being brave, right? And being able to take the next leap. I got through that, right? I didn't think I'd ever get through that. I don't know about you guys, but I started in this business and would write in a journal the first 6 months, get a new job. These people are crazy. Like I couldn't, I mean, I just would tell myself over and over, they would bring files and drop them off in 2000, whatever. And I remember thinking, get a new job. What is wrong? But I knew I also persevere. I knew that having a skill and that, having that experience was going to take me further, right? Not giving up was going to be the thing that helped me. So I guess when I talk about mentorship and community, you better look around. There was a guy at the front desk who used to be nice to me every day as I was dragging myself into that job. And I thought he was a community. He was community to me, right? It was the people who'd be like, get it together, right? You can do this, right? It's hard, but we can do it together. Those are the people who I look and think that's how you let women, people get to the next space, right? You look around and you find them, and they're everywhere. So that's what I think of.
Yeah, I mean, definitely surround yourself with the right people and be very selective, right? You don't want those, we call them life suckers, but people where you go out to dinner and they talk about themselves the whole time and they're always whining about something. Or oh, I'm so busy. Yeah, you're boring too. Conversations. Like, have people that are good for you, that you can be good to. You don't need the best friend who's going to try to sleep with your husband to make themselves feel better. Get rid of it. And be nice to, everyone you encounter, unless they're being an asshole, then you don't have to.
I need to go to Sarah's dinner parties. That's where I need to go. Her dinner parties sound great.
I mean, just surround yourself with people that are helpful and interesting and that you admire and that you can help. I mean, because there's just not enough time it's not high school, and there's just not enough time for that kind of bullshit.
Yeah.
So well said.
I would just say no one achieves success alone. I think a lot of us, pride ourselves on being independent and, depending on what your background is. So I just think like no one achieves that, success, and just surrounding yourself with mentorship. But mentorship just doesn't have to be at work. It can also, we just talked about with Jody, like your personal goals too, right? Like I think a lot of some of my best mentors are people in other industries that are also my workout buddies, right? And so I'm always a big fan of because we are so time crunched, like layering in those opportunities with people. And you don't always have to be in the highest role in the organization. You could be you can be a mentor to anybody, right? Just as long as we're open to the community and to other women and anyone, actually, just in terms of propping people up and wanting truly what's best for them.
So true.
That's so true. And attitude and aptitude going along with what you're saying, it's the key. If you have the right attitude and you have the aptitude to grow and you surround yourself with the right people, you're all going to grow together. And that's what you want. And we don't want, to the point of this conversation, people who drag you down and hold you back. You want to get rid of those. Those are shackles that aren't going to get you to the next level.
Yeah. I'm seeing a lot of it takes a village in the comments, and it's that can't be more true, especially to a household of two parents where they're both working, or a single parent who's working. It's you have more than the amount of children in the house than there are adults. It's going to take a village to help do everything. It's just, that's reality. And I think the older I get, the easier it is to ask for help. I don't know if that's a 20s versus 40s thing, but it's just what it is for me, at least. The next question, I feel like we already do such a good job of culture and empowerment and support. We do. There's always room for improvement, obviously. And so this might not even be a question for our organization. It could be more of a question for any organization. Like anybody who is listening to this call could be like, how can you, foster culture of empowerment and support of women in the workplace? I think one is by showing up to something like this to support each other and listen in. But yeah, I know, Heather, I know this was a question that you were really interested in talking about.
Yeah, I think that we're doing so much of it, as you said, right? So we're doing things like the GROW group. We're having conversations like this. We have a lot of leaders and female leaders in leadership, right? So I look at my team, for instance, and 26 women leaders, right? So we're just in a good environment for it. Somebody had mentioned it earlier on the call. You're talking about, female buyers, right? They're coming out in droves, and we know that. We're talking about generational wealth changing hands to female leaders that will own that money in the next couple of years. We're talking about, women making enormous decisions, publicly, right? Where we live, where we go to school, what we're doing, how we're investing our money. I mean, I don't think my husband could find a login to my, to our investments. What are we doing, Heather? Right. And so off we go. But I think that this culture of empowerment and how companies can support is that every family and working female looks different, right? And that experience is different. And it's about being sensitive to that. I mean, for me, remote work changed the way that we allowed people to live their lives while creating a career and not having to, in my world, I woke up at 7 o'clock in the morning and went to an office and didn't sometimes get home until 6 or 7. I can do so much in a remote environment, still feel connected, still be part of my life, and still say, oh, they're home, they're ready, right? They're back where they need to be. And I think that companies are going to take a shift in that, right? And have to look at how families come together and how women are a centerpiece of them in a lot of ways. So, but again, we're very fortunate, right? We work for an organization that really cares about that and allows us to be that way. So, but I think other companies are going to come forward that way soon.
And I think too, like if you're not feeling connected, like find somebody to connect with, like reach out to anybody here who's, on this call today. Obviously there's a reason why these women are here, and also people in the chat, like just reach out to your counterparts at other companies too, which is really great. But
to that point, I've met so many great people because of GROW and because of these like just this call today. I mean, there's so many great people. Like I'm getting to know Jody and Heather and like Lisa. Like I wouldn't have known Lisa if we didn't have GROW. And she's such a great dynamic woman. And there are so many amazing women in these companies that I just think it's really important that that we're doing this, for everyone.
Yeah. And I think, I don't know what the exact number is, Tracy, maybe you do know this, but like, I think we're like 50-50 male, female, or was teetering towards like 51% female, male to the total organization of employees. Like obviously sales is still male dominated, but there are a lot more females in operations.
And I don't know the exact number, but I think, you're spot on.
Yeah. Yeah. So, anyway, so this is just more about like, we're calling this section aligning passion with purpose, because the book does talk about aligning your passion with your purpose. And so I'm curious to know if, Jody, have you found ways to align your work with your personal values and passions? And I think like just knowing about your book already, I already know the answer to this question, but I want to hear what you have to say.
And that's exactly where I'm going. So early on in my career, one thing that the mentor that I worked with for years and years, and sadly he passed away 2 years ago. One thing that he taught me was looking at an application as more than just a rate and a loan amount, and to look at it more as a financial planner would, of how can you not only help somebody get into a house, but if you're looking to refinance them, or even if, they're looking to purchase a home, how can you help them better their financial situation with the biggest investment that they've made or are making in their life? So personally, I put myself through college. I had a lot of debt, and I had to learn how to restructure my own financial life. And when I did that, and I paid off my credit card debt to be able to buy my first home, that's kind of what created my passion in this industry of helping others be able to do the same. So when a client comes in and they bring in an application, and in the world of assistance right now, this is something that can be very much overlooked. I always look at the application to see how they're doing financially overall, like from a savings perspective, a credit perspective. And that's kind of how I brought my personal passion into my work world and how I've built my business over the years, is just bringing that layer of education, even to the real estate community, even to communities as a whole. I do workshops all the time on how do you organize your documents? How do you identify credit card debt? How do you pay off credit card debt? How do you get rid of a mortgage a little bit sooner and save on mortgage interest rate if your goal is to be debt free in the next 10 to 15 years? So that's how I've aligned it. And I think that everybody in this industry gets in it for, several reasons. One is the freedom and the flexibility, which goes away pretty quickly. Like we've talked about, we have to have boundaries. But we also get into it for the income potential. And we also have a desire to help people with their biggest investment of their lives. So helping them protect it and finding your passion within that realm is a very helpful way that I found to really help me grow in this industry, and something that I've shared nationwide with other agents. So it's lovely. And it's nice to empower other women when they come in and they're buying their first home, and to be able to teach them, basic things like organizing documents, and, how do you set up a savings account to create your own impound account, and how do you have reserves, and all the things that you need to stay financially stable with that investment.
Yeah, and I think also recognizing the fact that we do this every day. People only it used to be buy a home every 5 to 7 years. I think that number has stretched out, with where interest rates are, but just that we are the professionals. And so we have to treat them as, whether you're doing the mortgage side, the real estate side, whatever side you might be on here, but you have to treat them like knowing that they don't do this every day. Like they need that
Yes.
financial literacy. Yes, definitely. Good segue into the next question is, what advice would you give to someone trying to discover their purpose and reignite their passion? I'm sure everybody has had those moments where if you've been in this business long enough, you've had those moments where you've needed it, or like where you're Sarah, where you actually retire from one very successful career, take a little time off, and then try and figure out what your next step is. So I would love to hear, what is the advice everybody would give the people here today?
I'm happy to talk a little bit. I mean, for me, I think discovering your purpose is every day, right? You have to figure out what you like, what gets you excited, what problems you like to solve. And I think the idea of kind of really spending time appreciating those situations and saying, what about that really rises up for me? Like, what do I love about, teaching leaders how to be leaders, right? Or making an entire group of people work in one specific way, right? And that kind of challenge can reignite and give you new direction. But I'm never above like small things too, right? I think, if you know what you like and you know what you're doing, you can kind of re-spark that energy all kinds of ways, right? I bought a stand-up desk, and I sometimes just take everything out of my office and put it back a different way, just so that I can kind of feel that re-energy, just having a be re-energized. Thank you. I lost that word. But yeah, I think there's something that, find the problems that you love to solve, right? And you kind of land in what you're really called to do, in my opinion, right? Find what you love to fix.
Yeah, I would just say to that, like purpose often like sits at like sort of the intersection of what you're good at, what you love to do, like what you care about, where you can make an impact. So sometimes I think that's kind of how you discover your purpose, is by just trying new things, because sometimes unless you try it, you don't really know some of those things. But I've been reading this book, Traction, which is by Gino Wickman as well, not to digress. And it's called the EOS Life. And it's been like a good little exercise that I write in. And it talks about what you love and great at, like and good at, don't like and good, don't like not and good. So what this is helping me do is sort of identify in my day, like how I want to spend my time, where I don't need to say yes to everything because maybe I'm not the best person, but I do sometimes get in the weeds to do that. But that little 4-quadrant exercise has been something helping me to be helpful and kind of trying to take my business and my team to the next level.
Yeah, that's awesome, Lisa. I love that you're writing down the love, don't want to do, because my mentor growing up in this industry, Jeff Lake, used to say, do what you do best and delegate the rest. And he was a great delegator. Like he was better anybody than I've ever known at delegating. And I need to get better at it as a leader. Like sometimes I get in the weeds, just like you're saying, and you're like, maybe I shouldn't, maybe it's not the highest and best use of my time, and somebody else could do it more efficiently and quicker. So I love that.
Well, also, I mean, look, be okay if your purpose changes, right? I mean, I know that we all say like, oh, find your passion. There are so many people who don't know what their passion is, or their passion changes all the time. That's okay. Like, get out there, try new things. Sometimes reigniting your purpose or passion is just balancing your life and saying, you know what, I've been focusing really hard on the finance of the brain and I need to do something creative. And suddenly when you start painting or writing, whatever, your whole life gets more balanced out. You know, as far as reigniting their passion in this business, remember the people, right? I mean, that's your value to your clients is what will keep AI at bay, quite frankly, right? You cannot be replaced because you're their advisor. Half the time you're hearing about their marital problems. I mean, you're their counselor, they're their advisor, you're hand-holding, you know, and but give yourself a break. You don't have to be doing your passion. Your passion can change. Just explore, try new things, you know, make yourself interesting. Quite frankly, that's going to keep your life more interesting. It also makes you more interesting to your clients.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we're a relationship business. I agree with you on the AI comment. Like, there's so many things that don't work about it still. There's some great things out of it too, but like we are a relationship business. Like I think Jody said it earlier about just like the largest purchase somebody's ever going to invest in, right? Mm-hmm. It's also the largest debt they're ever going to take on, and that's scary for a lot of people, right? And so with that, like you have to be like a human to them, the human experience. And I think that's also why like companies like ours do so well, is because there is a lot of human interaction to deal with the human emotion of buying a home and getting a mortgage. Yeah.
And just to add on to that, when you say balance, I couldn't agree more. I think sometimes when you're feeling out of kilter and you feel burnt out, you're looking to reignite your soul, looking for that balance again and the purpose and the passion. It may not just be work related. It may be a hobby that you need to offset it to balance you out as an individual. And sometimes sitting down and just, if you're great at writing a business plan, I know most people start off the year with it and a vision board and they put it away and they never look at it again. But that's also a way to constantly reignite, keep you on track and keep you in tune with what your purpose and your passion is and your goals. That can keep that energy going as well. So I would say, if, you know, for people who are feeling the rut or they're feeling burnt out, definitely take a moment to pause and explore all aspects. Family life, how is that balancing out? Financial life, how is that balancing out? Work life, and then you're the cornerstone of the 4 pillars. And if you kind of look at life in those 4 little buckets, if you don't take care of yourself, you can't take care of anyone. And it's like a tabletop, like if one leg's broken, eventually it's going to tip over. So, you know, always look at your goals as well as part of that.
So 2 things I just took away from what Jody said is I need a hobby. I have to figure that out. I need to get a hobby.
I'm going to work with you and we're going to get a hobby.
Yeah. I need a hobby. I was thinking yesterday someone told me to take a pickleball and I know how popular it is. I'm like, maybe, and then I can. start work a little later, take a
bunch of
pickleball. I
mortgage
don't know.
ladies out in pickleball world.
Right. Yeah, we'll get some rate company paddles. It'll be
That's right.
just like free advertising. And also look at my vision board. Like that was the reminder. I was like, oh, we did that call in January and I've looked at it once. I have looked at it, but it was one time. And I am reading more. Sarah, you'll be proud of me. I am reading more. That was on my vision board for this year. But yeah.
I
Yeah.
should my
I made-
vision board.
I've made my vision board my screensaver, so every time I log into my computer, I see it.
Okay, I can't do that on mine. I need special permissions. I might have to email IT for that one, but I
Yeah,
tried to
it's-
do that.
So every time I'm like, oh, there it is. Okay.
Yeah, that's a smart idea. Yeah, I know some people put it that like on the lock screen on their phone. Maybe I just need to do that. But so just we're coming up on time and I want to make sure we talk about the next call we're going to be having too. But just really quickly, the question on how can organizations like ours help employees and partners find meaning and purpose in their work? I think it's like continuing to do calls like this. We have a call coming up at the end of the month for Women's History. So you do see Tracy and Lisa are here today. And then our new GROW chairs, Jamie Joyce and Nina, they'll be on with us as well. And we're going to talk about, Women's History Month. It's like going to be a celebration. So anybody from rate companies, please feel free to join us. But it's just like really continuing to show up for each other, attend these things, give feedback too. I think one thing that we as a GROW board last year did such an incredible job of, if I may toot our own horn, is that last year we really took a lot of the feedback we'd been given and we tried to implement things where we, really could, which is highlighting women of rate companies. I love reading those emails when they come out and they're talking about different women that I might know a little bit, but I don't really know them that well. And then I'm learning about the things that they like to do. And I'm like, oh, they're just like me. They're just like this. They're a normal human being and they're so successful. It's so wonderful to read about people and how, they've grown in their careers and helped so many people. I think we just need to continue to keep showing up for each other, but also just feedback would be great too. If there's something that you really want to see, let us know. But please join us on March 18th at 2:30 for a conversation about Women's History Month. And with that, I just want to thank my panelists and my special guests from our GROW board here today, Heather, Sarah, Jody, Tracy, Lisa. Thank you so much. Thank you to everybody for all of your amazing comments in the chat. I love how you all were able to just like actually take an hour and listen to our conversation and have the conversation in the chat with us. That's really important when we're talking about taking some time for yourself. So thanks for taking some time for yourselves today to be with us. And we will email out some information about the next call and also let everybody know who our winners were for the You Are a Badass deck of cards. Anyway, this was Mentorship Series for GROW. You Are a Badass book discussion. And thanks for joining us, everybody.
Thank you.
Thanks, everyone.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye.